And wood engraving is so different from woodblock. They are, as you see, it's end grain. Okay, it typically woodblock is side grain of wood, but wood engraving, so woodcut is side grain. Okay, and wood engraving is end grain. So it means you'll be carving on a tree trunk. Okay, so that's the wood engraving. And that why you do that such a end grain versus side grain is end grain is much harder, and so you can do very refined image. Okay, so this is a one camellia tree being chopped and being polished, and this is a maple, but it's being assembled. But you see that the grain is going this direction, and I'm carving on this side. Okay, so think about like if you have a steak and a fillet, wood engraving is a steak, and woodcut is fillet of wood. Can you picture that?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So of course, wood engraving become you can make very, very fine image, and which case you don't use any of your tools you have. You'll be using more like engraver, something similar to Buran for metal engraving. The differences between metal engraving and wood engraving is still relief. Where you engrave become white, and metal engraving is wherever you engrave become black. So that's a big differences between metal engraving and wood engraving. Okay, so I have those engravers here, and I can just do a little bit of demonstration of how to engrave the wood. Okay, so I hope I'm not blocking with my head. It's difficult. Okay, so you have to be using a very different kind of very fine polished. So if I just show how to do this, I have my engraver in my hand, and like stitching wise, it's more like, and so I have to be very close to this. That's why it's difficult. You really have to, I cannot do this in Zoom meeting. I'm looking at the screen, which is bigger than what I see on my real life. Okay, so, right, let's look at like this. It's almost like a stitching or sewing. Of course, longer your lines are become lighter in a way, because more white space against the black background become lighter, right? It's same concept to the black and white woodcut, but no carving. It's all engraving the wood. All right. So some this is an old book illustration method from late 1800s. Why these guys developed? The reason was intaglio printmaking became so popular because of a detail, right? You can make a lot of details in intaglio printmaking, like such as metal engraving and etching. And woodcut was left alone. It was kind of ignored because woodcut was, you never can go to that, become a detail as much as metal engraving or etching. So British artist Thomas Buick thought about using that end grain, you can go into more details, right? So these are all wood engraving illustrations, and they were used for book illustrations for many years, okay? So this one is a very interesting illustration, like all these shadow lightness and darkness coming from how much black left between those engraved lines. Okay, so a lot of book illustrations I can show. It's almost scary. This is possible by wood engraving. I show all these books. This is a book wood engraving. Those are red types. Okay, so all these illustrations coming from wood engraving. Okay, interesting to see. Those are wood engraved illustrations plus red types. Okay, so let me just do a since I'm talking about types here. It's a good chance to introduce the letterpress. Okay, so in a Western printmaker uses this block, which is type high. Okay, this is type high. It's a universal type high. They make intentionally so you can make this printed with a letterpress. Okay, so I'm gonna just do a little bit of a demonstration of using the letterpress here. This is type high, and type high means this height. It's like close to 1 inch. Okay, so they are all same height, so you can print them together. Okay, so this is a composing stick. I wanna just compose some letter. Very quick printing demo. If you don't mind, I may have to extend 10 minutes of this meeting. Okay, so let's switch the camera. I have one more camera today attached to this. All right, so this is our letterpress here. Okay, it's not fancy, but it works. This is my composing stick. I'm gonna put this one to this slot. Okay, and I have my engraving block here to be inserted. All right, so it's just simple demo using the two matrices of type high. So wood engraving can be combined with all these red types to make some book illustrations and book pages.